Right. They said, tell me about what boat are you going to go? It's time to buy a boat. I said, yes, I found one. I'm going to go look at it. And I said, it's a Hans Christian 34 in Trinidad. Trinidad's June. When would you pick that up and go? And I said, well, I have a flight in 3 days.
On the Wind is sponsored by Schooner Woodwind Sailing Cruises in Annapolis, the place that I started my career on the two 74-foot wooden schooners. They do 2-hour day sails for public cruises and private charters. If you've got a business, want to bring your company out for a team building or just a fun day on the water, we can do private charters. Pretty cool full circle moment. We bought the business last fall, in case you missed the memo. You can go to schoonerwoodwind.com to buy public sail tickets. They're available for every day we're sailing for the rest of the summer through the end of October. And of course, we're going to be doing our Woodwind sail with 59 North in October at Annapolis Sailboat Show. We've got the Schooner Race, which is a big special event in October, the trip back, the adventure cruise back up the bay, and lots of other stuff that we're kind of co-mingling between 59 North and Woodwind. So if you want to buy a ticket to take your family sailing, or if you're a business and want to check out our private charters, go to schoonerwoodwind.com. On the Wind is also presented by BVI Yacht Sales, our friends in the Caribbean and Annapolis. They can buy or sell your dream boat. You don't need to have a boat that they're listed for them to be your broker. They're good friends, personal friends of Mia and I for many, many years, and I'm checking out their website right now on June 16th. They've got 2 really unique boats that maybe you don't want to buy them, but if you do, they're freaking awesome. They've got a 1994 Bristol Channel Cutter, one of the coolest boats ever, Lynn and Larry Party's original boat. Check it out. It's called Little Wing. That's actually in Florida. And then they've got a very unique 1963 Camper Nicholson's 36. This is only $29,000. It's in the Dominican Republic. It's outfitted for cruising. If you want a cheap, very cool, classic boat that's already in the Caribbean, check that out. And if nothing else, just go to their website and look at the pictures. The boats are amazing. I love these. You know me, I'm a sucker for these old classic boats. So check those out on bviyachtSales.com. Their home base is in Tortola. They've been doing this since 1981, and they are trusted friends of ours. August and I joke about broker BS on our boat listings podcasts, but of all the people out there, I think you can trust these guys. So thanks again for BVI Yacht Sales for sponsoring the show, and check out their listings or get in touch at bviyachtSales.com. So Mia, this episode is Gunnar Christensen, who is doing Golden Globe race this fall in September. And I think, ironically, we have a couple bunks still open on Eastbjorn that will sail out of the same start port like 2 days after the race. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a really cool trip. So you can come to France a little bit earlier before the trip actually starts with us and see the race fleet, get part of the excitement, and check out all the participants. And then you join Eastbjorn on September 8th. And sail all the way up to Bergen. So it's a really nice, long trip to join. And I think we have 2 spaces open on that.
I'm going to butcher this, but it's Le Sable d'Olonne in France. That's like the main sailing center in Atlantic France, where the Vendée Globe starts from and all the Golden Globe stuff. I think the Fastnet, no, maybe that's La Rochelle. Anyway, it's like the hub of French ocean sailing, and it's a really cool place to start a trip from.
Thank you for taking that word. I was a little bit afraid of pronouncing the name of it. Le Sable d'Olonne? I don't know.
Oui.
It's a cool place.
What else do you want to promote?
Well, we have 2 other trips this summer with Open Space. We just got a cancellation on the Hawaii to Alaska trip on Falcon starting already in July 7. It's a really good trip. It's a long 2,500 nautical mile trip starting in Hawaii, sailing all the way up to Prince Rupert, just on the border of Alaska. And there's 1 space on that. So if you want to join a long, proper offshore trip, this one is for you.
And there's also a bunk on Eastbjorn in August to see the solar eclipse sailing from Reykjavik back to Stornoway in Scotland. So check that out. All of our open bunks for this year and next year are on 59-north.com/bunks. If you want to learn more about sailing, you can come to see me give a 2-day workshop right after Annapolis Sailboat Show called Skipper School. And I just wrote a really long piece about this on the Quarterdeck. So it's basically, it stemmed from the idea that we are hiring for a Falcon skipper at 59 North right now, full-time to replace Mary, who's going back to school. And I'm like, okay, what do I want to teach the people that work for us? And then hang on a minute, that's actually applicable to anybody that has their own boat and wants to be a skipper and doing across an ocean. So 2 days on that. It's very distilled knowledge, but it's what I think is the most important things that you need to know as a skipper. You can read about it on the Quarterdeck. If you're not yet a member there, go to quarterdeck.59-north.com. Anybody that signs up for the workshop gets a year free on the Quarterdeck. That's a new thing we have on there. And speaking of Quarterdeck, I'm slowly in the background kind of refreshing what we're doing there, and we just implemented this now. If you have actually sailed with us on any of our boats and are a member on the Quarterdeck, it automatically now knows the trips that you've done with us and knows which patches you've earned with us. So you always get a boat patch, you get a equator patch. The guys don't Falcon just cross the equator, for example. But that is now reflected in your Quarterdeck profile, and it happens automatically. So like I can go to my Quarterdeck profile, click on the Eastbjorn patch, and it shows me every other Quarterdeck member that has also sailed on Eastbjorn. So it's just a neat little way to integrate what we do in real life with what we do in Quarterdeck, and then we're going to work that into the events and stuff like that. And I've had a lot of fun behind the scenes. Shout out to JP, who's helping me code all this in the background.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it's happening
fun.
now. Yeah,
Good
it's
job,
really
guys.
cool. Yeah, so anyway, there's all that. Mia and I are going to be doing some work today to publish the rest of the boat show events for the fall in October. You can see on the boat show page online what we're generally doing there, but you'll be able to sign up for those events specifically in the next week or two. I'll stop rambling, and it's time for this episode. Mia, until next week.
Hold fast.
You're listening to On the Wind, my podcast about offshore sailing. I'm your host, Andy Schell. Gunnar Christensen is a career yacht captain and racing sailor who is in the midst of pivoting to sail solo nonstop around the world in the upcoming Golden Globe race. Gunnar and I talked about his origins as a sailor in New England, his varied career on yachts and racing boats, and about the prep on his Bob Perry-designed boat for the round-the-world voyage. Gunnar is the first guest we've had on the show who came to record in person at the new Mission Control in Sweden. Follow his progress in the Golden Globe race at gunnarsales.com.
It said, I've never done one of the bikes, the bike rental.
That's awesome.
And I was off-road through the forest. I got to the station, just said, that's a good morning.
On a day like today, too. I mean,
Yeah.
It is gorgeous outside. All right, I'm going to take these headphones off. Okay.
This is the first official recording in the house.
It is indeed. You are the first in-person guest in the new Mission Control here in Shopping.
I love this Mission Control.
Thank you for making the effort to come out here. I have a challenge for you now. Now, you already kind of beat me to it, Mia, but Mia rarely comes on the podcast, and when she does, she rarely talks. So your challenge is to get Mia talking at some point during this episode today, because usually you just sit here and nod and do that, exactly that. Gunnar, why don't we start off? I like to do this when we're in person. If you want to just describe the setting.
The setting is a wonderful house. I do like the color. I don't know what the blue is, but the sun's coming in, which probably has been pretty rare in the last few months. And the two beautiful orange chairs, nice faux hardwood floor, and a rocking horse, and lovely hosts.
Can you give Gunnar the background on those orange chairs? Because that's kind of our, that's where 59 North evolves.
Yeah, so we bought those two chairs for the old house at the farm, and we had them sat in one in the living room. And it's often like me and Andy in the evenings sit there with either a cup of tea or a drink and just chat. So that's where a lot of the brain powers happen.
A lot of ideas have been
a lot of brainstorming in those chairs.
Great. It looks like a great spot for brainstorming.
Yeah, so we had to bring those chairs to the house. So the challenge was to fit a good space for it. So instead of having a TV in the living room, we're having the orange thinking chairs.
Well, it's a nice house. My house is probably the size of this room, so it's lovely.
So I asked you when we had lunch before we recorded this, what you did in real life. If you just meet some random person on the train, for example, and they say, "What do you do in real life?" How do you answer that?
I just say I'm in the maritime business, because some of it's been boat building, and if or a yacht captain, I guess I can say, but I've done a few different things in the boat world, like in the last few years, racing, doing the Rourke races and things, but then also 2-3 years building, being a project manager for new boat builds as well. So the boating industry.
Do you have a favorite project or job that you've done in the boating industry?
It seems to be whatever the next project is. I move on to the the future. So right now it's this Golden Globe race boat that I'm doing a refit on, which is pretty cool because it's my own boat. Well, I'll explain later. It might not be after the end of the race, but right now it's my own boat, and it's really cool to do a refit on that boat. But yeah, I mean, I've done some really cool wooden boats. An old Herreshoff 63-foot racing yacht that was built for Jascha Heifetz, the violinist for the Transpac races in the 30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was cool. I was up in Maine.
You were sailing that or project
I was
managing or
sailing
both?
on it. And
Okay.
my mother actually was the project manager. So I came in at the end and just helped get the boat ready for racing and sailing. But it's great because my mother was, I wouldn't say she was on the floor doing the project management, but she was in charge of bringing in all the equipment and working with the owner on that.
So are you from a maritime family?
I am, yeah. So my uncle, who's a big influence, was in the Merchant Marines. So between him being the crazy uncle who would take me out and do these great races, when I was a kid, and my parents also were sailors, but just a little bit about my uncle and how it's kind of ingrained this crazy world of sailing. Even when I was 12 or 13, he'd grab me to go do the Gulf of Maine Ocean Racing Series it was a CNC 40. And I just saw what a crazy world that was. And it was really cool. I did the Marblehead Halifax race at like 16. And then we go back to Marblehead with the boat. And, I'm 16 years old. So how am I going to get home, Uncle Brian? Oh, somebody will be going to Maine. Well, no one's going to Maine. So they put me with a sign on the end of the start of the freeway that says Maine. And I hitchhiked home at 16. And my mother wasn't very pleased with that. But it was really those kind of cool adventures.
But like you grew up in Maine, you said, right?
Yeah, I was born in Connecticut. So summer house in Maine that ended up being full-time working up there on the schooners. I went to boarding school in Connecticut. So I had long summers and I had a long spring March, like the month of March was off for spring break. They'd ship me up to a shipyard in Maine, North End Shipyard, put me to work on the schooners and getting them ready for the summer. And then I'd come back and crew on the schooners, which was great because I was able to get my 100-ton master's license at right when I turned 18. I was already had all the time on a large tonnage vessel and learned a lot, as you know, with schooners, because I know you have that experience with schooners. It's a really good way to get the fundamentals of big boat sailing.
Totally. I mean, I was going to ask you, since you mentioned the schooner thing, working on the woodwind for me was the first time I realized that, like, hang on, you could actually, we can make a living in sailing. Like, this is interesting. But it sounds like you were just, maybe that was taken for granted with the people that you were surrounded by as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't. I had different people say, even the owner and the captain on that schooner, who was a big influence on me, Doug Lee, still alive. You're sailing with a yawl boat, and he would, one of these yellers too, but he's a good guy, and he had to put up with a bit of yelling, and he didn't want to get on the wrong side. But he said, you need to go to university and forget the sailing business. This is fun right now. And so I took a year and a half off, and I thought, well, I went down to the Caribbean on a Baltic 51 and just thought, this is great. And then my parents said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I better get back to university. So I did. And I had to make money during university. So I went to the Hinckley Yachts Yard. And I thought, well, maybe I can get a job painting bottoms or sweeping up the shop floor or something, for a summer. And they said, oh, you've got a 100-ton master's license. We need a captain for our Ted Hood 43 for the season. And
It's better than sweeping floors and painting bottoms.
All of a sudden, so then I was running that for summers, getting it ready again and going to college. But
what were you going to college for?
Political science. A lot of good that did.
Well, hey, maybe you get famous doing this Golden Globe thing and you come back around and put your name on the ballot.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I can argue pretty well.
You know, Tapio Lehtinen, have you been in touch with him? He tried the politics thing for a while.
Did he recently or?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he ran for office. I don't know how successful he was. Maybe not that successful at that, but yeah, he was big into that.
Probably not too successful because he's now on his boat going up the East Coast.
He is indeed, yeah. So I, mean, I think he's probably better off.
His constituents probably are a little bit pissed off with him if that's what he's doing.
Well, yeah, but Gunnar Christensen is not the most classic American name. Where is the origins of that from?
My father's side of the family, Danish. So
you feel right at home here in Scandinavia.
I feel right at home. The issue is with the name like that. They look at me, and just start speaking in Swedish. Or if I'm in Denmark, they speak Danish. Or
what do the Swedes say about how Danish sounds?
Well, they're hard to understand them. And it was actually funny when we were in the Pacific now because it was a boat of Danes that came up.
And they tried to talk to you?
Yeah, and Mary said, I don't understand what they're saying. And I said, I don't either.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because Danes
funny.
are so hard to understand.
But what's the joke?
That they talk with a hot potato in their mouth.
Oh.
It's what Swedes think they do. Yeah,
that's funny. So my grandfather, when he was visiting my dad, my grandmother had passed away. So and my grandfather's a great guy, good sense of humor. This lovely Swedish woman, we kind of had her come over for lunch, and he said, Swedes, I'll never be able to understand her. They had a great They got together and they understood each other just fine.
Oh, that's cool. So back to this driving Hinckley days. You're in college. Did you graduate college, and did you ever use your degree?
No, I did graduate.
Okay.
Yeah, it took 4.5 years, and have the degree. Which honestly, I'm sure university is good for some people, but I'm not going to say it's a waste. But really, vocational institute, or even if you're going to go sailing, if you want to get into the maritime industry today, I think just hands-on practical. If you can show some being practical, I mean, look at the money you can make, honestly, in a yachting career. It's good. And if you can come in with some skills to be able to fix things, which I think a lot of kids don't have these days. If you can be in your 20s and, walking the docks and say, yeah, I can go rebuild a pump or something and go to school for that, that might be more worthwhile for a lot of people.
How long did you do the yacht captain thing? Well, that was pretty much all in, right?
Yeah,
you're like
all
living aboard. Yeah, that's your life.
Yeah. So, when I finished university, it was right down to the Caribbean, delivering swans and things like that. And full on, it's just a blur. Yeah. Just racing boats, doing all the racing circuits. And then...
is this mostly being paid by wealthy guys that are, that this is their recreation?
This is their recreation.
As opposed to like a commercial type stuff?
I did do some commercial down the line. So yeah, here's a good story. So one of the trips down was on a Baltic 64 Sarah Kate, down to Newport, down to Florida. Well, when I got to Florida, I had to get off the boat because I wasn't permanent crew. I was just delivery crew. And a friend of mine said, you should go Congear. Remember Congear is a Maxi 80, back when the Maxi boats were big in the 80s. Well, this was in the 90s. It was kind of the decline of Maxi boats. And this guy who owned Congear, I can't remember his name, but he's a real character, famous for not having any money ever and running a really cheap campaign. So Congear was up in Fort Pierce alongside a grapefruit pier. They would ship grapefruits out from this grapefruit pier. So there's grapefruits everywhere. It smelled like rotten grapefruits. So I jump on that boat, but you're not getting paid anything. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to be on an 80-foot Maxi. So I was doing foredeck and we were doing training. But we ended up rafting with an Icelandic research vessel. And I got to know the Icelandic research vessel people really well. They're really cool. So I was going to pay nothing on Congear. And then the research vessel said, oh, you've got a 100-ton license. Let's get you on board. We can pay you $4 an hour. And we're cleaning ballast tanks out for an inspection, which was going to take a month. But when we get a job, you can be a member. You could be like second mate, a member of the bridge because you've got a license. And I thought, wow. And then I can get a 500-ton license.
How old are you at the time?
mid 20s, early 20s.
And did you have? I'm making a huge assumption here, but it sounds like you were vagabonding and had nothing tying you down, or
no,
did
yeah,
you have a home base. Is this this is your life?
Nothing, tying me down, which has pretty much been how I've lived my life.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. It's kind of normal to me. But that was a really cool thing to jump on this research vessel. It wasn't sailing, but we ended up getting a few gigs, and then we did transatlantic fiber optic survey work. We ended up in Iceland doing Arctic research work and being with an Icelandic family who owned the boats, and it was really cool to hang out in Iceland and do all this really cool research work.
So how often as you did different boats and different things, how often was it you searching out something versus you just having these opportunities present themselves and saying, "Oh, that sounds cool. I'm going to do that."
Yeah, sometimes there's some searching. I remember this is kind of how I've tuned myself as a captain, dealing with people that walk the docks, like in St. Martin or Antigua, stern to, right? You always get people that knock on the hull and they have a CV and they want to know about work or day work. And I was in Newport as trying to find which is just graduated university, trying to find a boat south. And I was knocking the docks on a rainy day up in Newport and up at the Ted Hood yard. And all the snotty crew who probably were doing what I was doing 2 months earlier were ignoring me and not giving me the time of day. It gets demoralizing. And I knocked on I think it was a Swan 80, which was at the time, wow, that was like the biggest Swan probably. And I'm like, and it's a UK flag. And I thought, oh, here we go. End of the day, I'm cold, I'm wet. Knock on it. And the captain opens up. He goes, right, come on down, get your foul weather gear. Goes over there. Tea or coffee? They're just sitting down for tea. And then he goes, right, I don't have anything for you, but have a coffee and I'm going to write down who you should probably talk to. And it took about 20 minutes, dried off a little bit, had a coffee, had a biscuit, came out with a list of names, and the crew were like, oh yeah, maybe Bob on that boat. And I just thought, that's how you do it, right? You need to give people a little bit of, just a little bit of the time of day. So if I ran into people on St. Martin, Stern 2, when I finally was on a large yacht, I would for sure, if I was busy, I would at least take a CV and just say, well, now I've got it. Thanks.
Yeah. That's cool. Me and I were talking about this yesterday. We're in the process of trying to hire a skipper for Falcon. And it's hard to find the right combination of personality and experience and stuff that we need specifically for our thing. But my point is, what you said, I think we have 12 or 13 applications that have come in so far, and like everybody's so cool just in some way, and like I only have one spot. And it's like I want to do it. I want to help everybody. I want to give opportunities because I was them when I was that age, and it's just like, God, how are we going to be able to pick? How are we going to pick? It's so hard.
I bet, because with Falcon, your itinerary and the boat it is FAR 65, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I imagine you're getting some really good CVs in.
Well, it is, and it's just we have room for one person, and it's just going to be you have to. I'm a people pleaser. I don't like saying no to people, so it's going to be hard to do that. But it's a fun process too, and I kind of have the same attitude you have, that you communicate with everybody, and you never know who you're going to meet and what's going to happen, and just be nice to people. Yeah,
and that's how. And just be a good crew member as well, and I think that's how the references happen. So I think a lot of that happened. Hopefully with me, I just put my head down, learned. I still, to this day, I was running a FAR 60 last year for all the Rourke races. And then I ended up, we can talk maybe later. I'd love to talk about racers versus sailors, and I kind of have a bit of an issue with being on a racing yacht as a sailor.
Well, wait, let's talk about that right now.
Let's talk about that.
What do you mean?
Well, okay. So I love racing. So now I got into somebody back in Lymington, where I live in the south coast of the UK, said, "Oh, this guy on Venomous, now I've said the name, but that's all right."
we can edit that if it's a problem.
No, it's not a problem. The FAR 60, he said, they need a skipper. So I said, "Oh man, that's great." And it's kind of why I took a step back from the Golden Globe race, because I had the boats, planning on doing it. I had this opportunity I was running Venomous, training for the winter with the crew. They're all paid the crew are all they pay to be on there, so they were like bankers in London. Great guys, great bunch. Owner actually is a good guy. The previous skipper didn't really see eye to eye with, who was the shore guy, and he'd been on it for 12 years. Bit full of himself. But anyway, so this is what happens when I get on racing boats. I don't know if you've ever seen this. You jump on, especially maybe it's the south coast of the UK thing, and the decisions they make, they don't think ahead. Like a sailor, like you and Mia, and will look ahead and just go, well, maybe we need to rethink our head sail arrangement because there's that cloud over there, and it looks like it's going to start blowing. But they don't think about that. They look right at the moment, which I think is wrong, and it ends up slowing you down because you get overpowered, and it's the wrong sail combination. It's chaos. We were going to not Cherbourg. We're going to Le Havre on one of the first early season races last year. And I'm like, right, it's 9:00 at night, first race of the season, pretty green crew, just two of us on board being paid, and with the owner on board as well. I'm like, okay, storm jib, because it's starting to gust 20 plus, and it's going to blow 35 in about 2 hours. And the owner's like, no, A3 spinnaker. This is how far removed I am with decision making. And in that situation, I'm like, no. I said, it's your boat, and if you want to fire me when we're done, that's fine. But no, we're putting up the storm jib, which ended up being, of course, the right move because at midnight, he's like, geez, I'm glad we got the storm jib up.
So were you what's the word, forgiven by the owner?
Oh, yeah, until the Myth of Malum race, where there's one reef in a 60-foot far. How do you do all those races? How do you do a fast net with one reef in the sail? There's no other reef points. And I asked the previous skipper, he said, well, how much of a racer are you if you want more reefs? I go, what the? He goes, we just take the sail down. And I said, well, on a good day, it takes 9 of us to get the sail down going into Cowes. So we're going Myth of Malum, 2 a.m. I have maybe 3 crew members who are alive, barely. It's cold. The owner's on the helm. I'm on the main sheet. He gets sick and goes below. And there's a rip in the main, and I told him that. I go, there's a 2-foot rip in the main. And he just ignored it. He was sick, and there's nothing we could do about it. So just 6 hours later, we round Eddystone, sun's up, and now we're downwind. He comes up, fresh as a daisy. I've been up now for 24 hours. And he's yelling at me about, how could you keep the main up with a rip in it? I'm like, well, 6 hours, and it hasn't changed. It's still the same size. We're fine. Well, he wanted to get the main down, and that's what ripped the sail. So that was my final deal. Anyway, back to sailing versus racing.
Yeah.
It's just, seamanship would be, how could you go have a boat that's doing offshore racing like the Fastnet and all these races and not have 3 reefs? It's just silly, that sort of mentality.
Well, so I've had this, I'm really glad you brought this up because I've had this conversation many times, and like, is it possible to, I'll be curious what your answer is to this. Is it possible to practice good seamanship while also trying to win a race?
Absolutely.
Are those 2 goals compatible?
I think they make for the best racer, because if you're just, I think people sail overpowered all the time when they're racing. And I think your listeners will know, reducing sail sometimes and taking the pressure off a bit, actually, not only is it more comfortable, it's sometimes faster. So I think they're very compatible, in my opinion.
But aren't you always going to be making decisions that you might not make in a cruising? I mean, so my counter to that is like, when you read about sort of high-profile accidents and man overboards and things like that, they're often in a racing context. Is that the fault of the goal, or is it the fault of the people on board just not being smart about it?
Yeah, I think it's probably the people not being smart about it and not maybe thinking ahead. And I jumped on a J109 after, just to finish the work series, because one of my sponsors owns a J109. And they were actually probably much better racers than anyone on the FAR 60. And so I think there's good, they had enough experience to be good seamanship was really good. So I think, I learned a lot jumping on a J109 because there's so many bells and whistles, and it took me a few races to get things figured out with all the technology.
Small, simple boat, but not so simple when there's a million things to adjust.
Yeah, so I would say because of their experience, they brought both in. They were better racers than I was, for sure. I think as far as experience goes, maybe I had more experience, and I would possibly make a different call on a few little things, but really they had it figured out.
That's interesting. Because we haven't had any this year, but we do racing. We have a racing program as well, in addition to our offshore stuff, and we do it on chartered boats. And we enter, like we did the Carib 600 3 or 4 times, the Middle Sea race, some of the big races that people want to do. And we've had this ongoing debate: is can we run these with the safety standards we have in mind for our other trips? Because it's pretty easy in cruising to stay safe, but in racing, can you balance those two things? Can you try to be competitive while also being safe?
Yeah, maybe that's where I'm not as good a racer, because maybe I'm not pushing it the way I should. So racing these days, with whether it's Sail GP or current America's Cup, and if you look at the fast boats and Admiral's Cup or something like that, it's almost demolition derby in a way, or it's like a formula race car.
The stakes are much higher because the edge is so much. It's a knife edge, right? Did you see that crash in Sail GP that happened in New Zealand recently?
Yes.
Have you seen this, Mia? That somebody didn't get killed in that is a miracle.
Yeah. My a good friend of mine from Leamington is a safety boat. Yeah. So
oh, really?
Got the full lowdown on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Well, so this is a good segue back to you're doing Golden Globe now.
Yeah.
Are you racing, or are you doing it for the adventure?
Oh, I'm definitely racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are. Yeah. So you are competitive.
Yeah. I'm definitely competitive. So if you put me on a boat doing a delivery, I am not going to go get up and go, the sail's fine. If I could tweak it or do a better sail arrangement, I'll do it, because I can't have the boat not sailing efficiently. So if I can go around the world and keep my boat sailing efficiently, I think I can do okay. That being said, I have a Hans Christian 34, which is a heavy boat, which isn't on paper the fastest, but it's not the slowest either. So it's interesting to look at the different boats in this race and see what could happen, because it was a Rustler 36, and then Kirsten Neushofer came in with his big heavy Cape George 36, which is a great boat too. And
she was on the podcast before when she was preparing for the Golden Globe, and knowing her background and the boat she chose, I was like, she's going to do very well. It was pretty clear, and then she ended up winning.
Yeah.
Did you what is your stated goal personally? Like, what will be a success for you?
If I was podium, that would be amazing. But obviously, if I finish, that's just incredible. Because look at what was the last one: 3 finishers, 2 I think were in Chichester, so maybe 5 made it around, but 3 nonstop finishers.
What do you consider is the most important aspect of what do they say? You can't finish if you can't finish first if you don't finish, or something. What's that line?
No,
what do you think is the most important aspect of that for you? Where are you spending your most amount of effort in the prep stage?
So you mean for being competitive, or
no, just both, I guess.
Yeah.
To finish, but also to finish well.
I have good sales, so I have a new mast coming in, so I'm prepping the boat that for what she is, a Hans Christian 34 Bob Perry design. She's going to be, I hope, sailed well, because I think I can sail her pretty darn well, and it's a long water line. It's 3 feet longer than a Rustler 36. When you look at that, that's quite a bit. And I'm 40 feet overall with the bowsprit. And my survivability with this tank of a boat compared to like a Biscay 36, it's going to be, I think, a good boat for this.
So did you choose a boat, or did a boat come to you?
I think it came to me because I had looked at, that's a good story. So I have a team in Leamington that are behind me. They're decent, weekend sailors and retired. And so they've been behind me. And before I chose a boat, we looked locally for Trade Wind 35s Biscay 36. The smart move would have been to buy something locally. Then a friend of mine, Mary South, who was editor of Yachting Magazine and Soundings Magazine back in the States.
Cool.
Yeah, you probably know of her. She's, loves the Golden Globe race, and behind me with this campaign, she sent me this link for Hans Christian 34 in Trinidad. And this is early June of 2024, the beginning of hurricane season. And I just said, wow. And probably, people that listen to this will know, if they know Trinidad, it's the land of broken dreams. People, they come down the East Coast, they make it to the Caribbean, they go down the chain, for hurricane season, leave their boat. And sometimes their boats get left there for years. Yeah, that's it. And I think this boat was one of them. But the young couple who bought it from the people who had it for 20 years before, both the first couple had really kept it very well maintained. The second couple really did a great job, younger, but something happened where they decided to go do something else. So they did a year-long refit in 2023 and then just put it for sale and sat there for a year, and I bought it. So I just said, well,
I always tell people, like, there's so many boats. Like, don't go abroad to buy a boat. Just find one near where you are.
Well, yeah, I probably would have done that.
Seems insane to me. But
it is totally insane. But if you think about, so the qualifier, you have to do minimum of 4,000 miles solo nonstop.
Okay.
Right.
Fair. Yeah.
So I had done, maybe 12 hours of solo sailing in my whole life. So,
well, I was going to ask, that was going to be one of my next questions.
Yeah. So I'd never sailed with a wind vane. So I sat down with my team and said, right. They said, tell me about what boat are you going to go? It's time to buy a boat. I said, yes, I found one. I'm going to go look at it. And I said, it's a Hans Christian 34 in Trinidad. Trinidad's June. When would you pick that up and go? And I said, well, I have a flight in 3 days. And it's a round trip. If I get on board, I'll know within a short period of time if the work that was done was, what he said was done. And sure enough, I got on the boat. Within a day, I said, yeah, this is what he said.
You can tell, yeah.
You can tell.
If you know what to look, if you know where to look, you can tell.
And I do,
pretty
yeah.
easily. Yeah.
And it had the sails weren't new, but they had two backups of everything. So a main blue, I had another main, backup staysails and Yankees and things, all well folded. I just tell the boat was loved. And it just had bird poop on it. So I flew down there a day to clean the bird poop off. I serviced the engine for a day. I said, before I buy it, I better go take it for a sail. So I went out.
Did you go by yourself or did anybody from your team go with you?
I did a refit on a boat 20 years before in Trinidad, in Chaguaramas. So I knew it. And I had this guy, side note, I love cycling, and you wouldn't know it now, but I used to race competitively.
Okay, cool.
I used to race on the Trinidad national team because I was there for a year.
What?
Yeah.
How do you get on the Trinidad national team?
All right.
You're not from Trinidad.
Another segue. So I was riding my bike. At the end of the day, I'd go out and train every afternoon. I'd go out and train in the team. There's, it's Trinidad. There's 8 people on the national team, right? And they're all probably my ability, except for 1 or 2 who are really, international caliber.
So is this in your yacht captain days when you're
hanging
out
captain
down
days?
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is 2000, 1999.
Okay.
So, and so they see me every day, and they say, "Why don't you ride with us?" So I start riding with them, and then so they said, "This Sunday we're going to go do this loop," and I start doing the loop, and they said, "Do you do any track racing?" And I go, "Yeah, actually, I have my track bike because I was in Guadeloupe and I had a fixed gear track bike. I was riding on the track in Guadeloupe, and I really thought, oh, I'm going to go race bikes. Forget this yachting stuff. But I was pretty terrible.
Wait, is that you actually really wanted to do that?
Yeah, I did. I did for a while, and then I realized in 1996 I went to Belgium and raced, and they said, no, I'm not. I've just got my ass kicked. But anyway, in Trinidad, I started doing track racing, and they said, right. The national team, we're going to race in Barbados on the track for the Caribbean Cup or something. And they needed somebody to help sponsor a little bit. And so they said, we're going to get you a Trinidad national license and a kit and take you, and you're going to come with us and race on the track in Barbados.
Did you do it?
I did.
What was that like?
It was great. Oh man, it was. So anyway, yeah. So long story short.
So track bike, you're on single fixed gear bikes. These are like wooden slanted banks.
Yeah, some of them are concrete. Some are like dirt fields. In Barbados is a real, is a Olympic quality track.
Velodrome, they call it, right?
Velodrome, yeah. Yeah, it was.
That's
it
why.
was
That's
cool.
I mean, talk about a niche sport like
Yeah.
track cycling racing. Wow, what a thing.
Well, on a yacht, I carried a always. I carried a S&S coupled titanium custom bike, so I could take it apart, regular racing
I've
bike,
seen
and put it
those.
into a
Yeah.
suitcase. And so I was lucky to work on some larger yachts. So, I raced in St. Martin. So I was one of these yacht captains that, when everyone's at the bar, I'm out training, and I'm up at 6 a.m. training, or I'm getting to bed early. I didn't drink beer. I didn't do anything. I was one of the boring yacht captains because I was yacht captaining, but also training, and would do these Caribbean races, which was the coolest friggin' thing because every island I was on, just like in Trinidad, I would meet the local cyclists.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, talking about community.
It's a great community, and it gets you away from the yachting community, which can be, as you guys know, it's a bit stifling, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a reason cliches exist because it's very cliched. Like everyone goes out to the bar and does the thing, and that's the thing.
It wasn't my thing, and so I just felt it was really cool to meet these great people doing something different. So anyway, that was cycling in Trinidad.
Do you still ride?
Yeah, but it's just been I used to commute to work a couple years, 2 years ago, which is great, and now. Unfortunately, this refit for the Golden Globe race has been so full on, and I live a mile from my boat, so I need to get back into shape. But so anyway, when I was in Trinidad, the one of the guys who I raced with continued to be a coach, and he'd come to the States, and we'd ride in Miami when I was in Miami, wherever we'd meet up, and he'd come to the UK sometimes, and he'd always just stay. We're just lifelong friends. And he picked me up at the airport to go and then help me on this boat, get it prepped. Well, it was 4 days of prep before I left. So I hung out with him for 4 days. But that was the cycling connection. He, helped me get this boat ready.
That's pretty wild. Do you remember, I'm just reminded of boat people on bikes. When we used to work for the ARC, for World Cruising Club, there was a big catamaran, like a 60 or 70 foot catamaran, and a bunch of like real fit dudes on it. And they had taken a stationary bike and cycled their way across the Atlantic. Somebody was always on the bike.
Yeah.
So they did watch rotations
Really?
on the bike and made sure that they rode the entire bike as the boat was sailing across the
I
Atlantic.
wonder if it was probably a CompuTrainer. I wonder if they had it hooked up to anything.
This
so they
was
could
probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Ish, something like that. So I don't know what they had, but
I had similar on
they
one
showed
of the
up and
yachts,
said, we biked our way across the Atlantic. I was
That's
like,
so
pretty
cool
fun.
because that's another thing, isn't it? Like, I don't know, Mia, what you do for exercise and when you're on the boat, if you guys have a routine, it's hard,
We started, like, now it's hard on the routine, but when you and me were these two of us, we were marathon training. So every time when we did a lot of marathons back in the days when it was just the two of us, and it was a great inspiration when you went to a new place, you went for a long run. So that was a good way to have a goal.
And also minimum equipment.
Exactly, just a pair of shoes. But now we train at home and cruise on the boat.
I still run. So when we're on the boat with customers now, I don't even make an attempt to do air squats or any of that stuff because I'm so focused on delivering these trips that I just sleep and teach. And then when I get where we're going, I use Strava.
Yeah,
and
so
I've
do
got running loops in all wild parts of the world. That's kind of my thing. It's like, all right, I get 2 Motus. I'm going for a run.
Oh, it's cool, isn't it? Because you look on Strava. I love it.
my
'Cause you
running
look at
journal.
your heat map for the world.
Yeah.
And you're in all these cool places.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little community on Strava where, if you wanted to, you could go meet other runners or, for me, it's the cycling groups. Yeah. And it's a great way to just go see, your surroundings where you're
100%. It's better than getting a car. You're slower, but you're still a little faster than walking. You can cover some more ground.
Yeah.
We glossed over the part, though, the most important part of the story, that you spent 4 days with a new boat and then immediately sailed across the Atlantic, which is also like, I would advise don't ever do that. That's ridiculous.
No, don't do that. Yeah.
So like let's bring this train back on the tracks here because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so 59 North, right? You take people that I know you have some of your crew are good experienced, people coming on board to learn, but I think a lot of them are aspiring to maybe get their own boat.
Yes.
And they're doing it the proper way. One of my clients' wives did Azores to Portugal couple years back, and she loved it. But they were building a southerly 42 in the UK. They're from Alabama, and they're doing it properly. They went through all the RYA courses, went on board 59 North boat to learn, and they loved it. And they looked at me.
You were supposed to telling us what to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. He looked
you
at
do
me and
this?
said, "You did what?" And I'm lifeboat Royal Nr and I.
Saw a cool
Yeah,
picture of
yeah.
you with like your gear on and the helmet on your website.
which is like a family. Like we call it the R and I Mafia. But but they're very safety oriented, and I am safety oriented. But I had so much on my mind. I got in. I did this transatlantic, and I just there's no tropical low pressure systems all the way across the Atlantic for the days I was in Trinidad, and all I was thinking about was I need to get out of the Caribbean. There's no low pressure system. So like food was a secondary thought. I bought plenty, but it was just so boring. And luckily this guy who helped me, this cyclist, his dad had a life raft refit company for commercial vessels. And he threw me some old just expired flares and a medical kit. And I'm sailing off, I leave at 4 PM after buying the boat, figuring out how the wind vane works. And I'm going up to Grenada, and I thought, there was a harness on board, right? And I said, let's see what else we've got for safety gear, thinking, where are the life jackets? I didn't even have a life jacket.
Jesus. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm saying, well, you've kind of earned the right to do this. You've got a whole career of doing this. You know what you're doing. It's not like somebody's going to go out there and figure it out. But yeah, maybe you could have looked for life jackets first.
But my argument was, I said to my team,
Captain Ron, if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen out there.
Exactly. There's a little bit of a Captain Ron maybe there. But the thing is, so I would do boat deliveries, right? I'd fly in from New England to Antigua, spend 24 hours on the boat maybe, provision it, check it out. And if everything's fine, I'd sail it back to New England, right? And if something wasn't right, you make it right. And if the boat really was crap, I probably would just say, sorry, I'm not going to take it.
I've done that 3 times. I went to a boat to do delivery and said, no, see you. I'm not leaving. I'm not going to sea.
You lied to, somebody's maybe fibbed a bit and said, yeah. So this boat, though, I knew was okay. And, you've got the whole Caribbean chain. So I've got 3 days.
You have a little bit of a shakedown sail,
I was just like, if something happens, I'll pull in. And,
but I think my point being is like I was joking, but you have earned the right to do that because you know what you're doing.
I have possibly earned the right, but you never want to get complacent about it, do you? Like it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
you
right.
don't want to, I'm not very religious or anything, but there's, Neptune or, any God that's out there. You don't want to tempt.
Well, that complacency
Neptune.
thing, it's like, it's that, but it's also if you don't have I don't know what it's like for you, but I feel like the more experience I get and the more I do this, it's like, holy shit, how did I do this 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I didn't know what I was doing? Because the more you know, it's 2 things. Like the famous Patagonia guy's quote, Yvonne, the more you know, the less you need. But also the more you know you don't know.
Yeah. I get that all the time. But I find it funny when people jump on boats and they're cocky, right?
Yeah.
And, this J109 is another story. The Rob, who from Advanced Yacht Systems, who supplied the southerly boats I was working on with all the kit, he supplied a Remoran hydrogenerator for the Golden Globe race. Very nice of him. So then I jumped on his boat, but for the Rourke races. And he never mentioned to anyone, which is fine. Like this guy was just running a FAR 60. So I get on this well-oiled boat and they said, right, you sit over there. Now, when the boom comes across, don't hit your head. And it's just, they didn't know me from Adam, which was actually great because I sat there and took it all in, offered a little bit of help. I could tail a winch and they were like 3 wraps, don't clockwise. I'm like, yep. And then we're coming back from whatever, from Cherbourg or wherever it was. They're like, would you like to try the helm now? Yeah, okay. So we're coming back, we're flying back and what do you do for a living?
What'd you say? Did you tell him?
I go, I'm a professional yacht captain. Why didn't you tell us?
That's awesome.
I was just gonna say that, like, I think also, you shouldn't not just jump on a boat and do it, but I think the more experience you have, the stronger gut feeling you have. So like you can kind of quickly just sense yes or no, this is good or bad. Like you probably did when you came to Trinidad.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. For that boat. Oh, for sure. And that's, I think I'm, back to that boat. I think I'm really lucky. I mean, the boats have character. I think, August, right? I think in one of his podcasts, he was saying, yeah, they definitely do. And I think they do. I call it the mighty pumpkin because pompon is pumpkin in Dutch. And she's, it has to be orange on the cabin top for the race. And this boat was just painted orange on the cabin top. And I said, the owner I bought it from, why is it orange? She said, my favorite colors are red and orange. I said, well, I guess I have to buy the boat because it's already painted orange.
You don't have to do that part of the refit.
Yeah, but you just feel it, don't you?
Yeah.
That it's just, and then you spend 4,000 miles. I mean, look at all the miles you guys have done on boats. This is what I've done. Probably that was my 8th transatlantic or something, and nothing really went wrong nothing broke on the boat. A bail for the staysail block, which took me 5 minutes to fix. I ripped a sail, so I sewed it up, and that was it. And how many times can you go 4,000 miles and not have anything go wrong?
Well, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this gut feeling thing, man. You bring up a really good point. Do you, when you're making decisions in a professional context or in a serious context, whether it's professional or on your own boat, how much, where on that spectrum of like, I guess sort of scientific method versus gut feeling do you make decisions? How do you make decisions generally?
Gut feeling, definitely. Yeah, I think put a spreadsheet in front of me and analyze analytics like that. My eyes glaze over. But just the looking and knowing, I think.
How do you know that you can trust your gut?
Oh, I don't know, but I think I've reached the point now where, I'm not getting cocky, but I've seen a lot. I've made those mistakes, and I left. Like a mistake I made it probably when I was 21 or 2 was leaving Cape Cod Canal onset to go deliver my old Doug Peterson 34 back to Maine. Late October 1993, I think it was. Perfect storm.
Oh.
Yeah, one of those gut feelings where if this was the Gunnar from today, looking at a gale force wind of 30 plus knots, it turned out to be, 60 plus in the Gulf of Maine when the perfect storm came through. I would have probably thought differently. I said, no, it'll be fine. 35 knots from the starboard quarter. We'll be in Maine in no time.
So you were out there in that?
Yeah.
By yourself or?
No, with two college
okay.
friends. Yeah. So that's a whole nother, that was another so the perfect storm story is we're in Newport, Rhode Island. I bought this Doug Peterson 34 during
those are cool
college.
boats. We looked at one of them when we bought Arcturus.
I still have it. Can you tell somebody to please take it?
You still have it?
It's in Maine, hauled out, and it needs a good home.
Oh wow, that's what. What's her name? Wendy. Wendy has it. That was Wendy's boat we looked at.
Really, like in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Great boat.
They're really cool.
Excellent boat, and well, anyway, we'll talk later about a good home for that.
That's the boat I'd like to have over here because they're like small enough to sail in the archipelago, but fast and fun.
Yeah. But your OE is pretty damn cool too.
It's cool. It's going to be a lot cooler next week when the new mast gets here.
Yeah. We're both. It's new mast week for everyone.
It is new mast week, yes.
But a quick, back to this perfect storm thing. So, I had this Doug Peterson down in Newport just when I left university. I just left, and was doing day work and was in the anchorage zone with a big, massive anchor, so I could spend like 2 months or 3 months doing varnish work and just looking for the big boats south. Got a ride on a Swan something, 65, I think, going down to Antigua as crew. But I had to get my boat back to haul it out up to Maine. So I had 2 friends from uni come down, and they go out on the town. I stayed on the boat. They ended up getting into some mischief. They stole a sign off a bar or something, and the police were looking for them, and one dove in the water and was hiding under the docks in October and the police were shaking me, waking me up, going, where are these guys? And anyway, we had to leave at 1 a.m. We get all the way up to, onset up to Buzzards Bay. We're there by, next morning. And the old timer at the fuel dock in onset says, it's going to blow tomorrow, tonight. And I go, yeah, I see that. Yeah. Gust to 30, 35. We'll be all right. He goes, okay. Well, yeah, that was when we got into it. Ended up being the perfect storm. We did circles. I mean, we were getting knocked down, bear pulled, and I had the 2 guys down below. I didn't have a life raft, and we're just getting knocked down constantly. It's trying to just keep it down. The wind shifted so much. I know I did 360s with the wind probably. And then it calmed down. It went through fairly quickly. So by daybreak the next day, I just started heading north again. This is pre-GPS. I don't think we had a Loran on board. And but it was so bad. I had the guys would open the hatch and say, "You all right?" Because it would get knocked down, and they wanted to make sure I was still on board the boat.
Jesus.
And I'm like, yeah, I think we're all right. But I had a little small Avon raft. I said, pump the Avon raft up enough that not so much you can't get it out of the hatch, but enough that if we need it, we can maybe have something to hold on to. They were like, oh shit.
How much wind do you think it was?
I didn't have any sort of way to know other than, I don't know, 60, bare pulled getting knocked down.
Yeah. Wow.
60. I don't know.
Jeez.
But luckily it's sea state. I don't think it was short. It wasn't too steep, luckily. So it hadn't built up too badly. And then we just got up off the coast of Maine, and there were these offshore lobster vessels, the lobster boats. Couldn't see land. So I came up alongside one of them and just said, "Where are you out of?" And they said, "Boothbay." And I go, "Oh, good. I'm going to Christmas Cove, where the house was. And can you give me a compass course to Boothbay?" Yeah. And they go, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "Cape Cod Canal." And they went, "Oh, what was it like last night?" I go, "Oh, it wasn't very good." But one of my crew members was dating a girl down in Gloucester. So he goes down a week or so later, 2 weeks later, after we know the rest of the story because of the Perfect Storm, the movie, right? So he's down there. He calls me up and said, "Everyone's talking about that storm we're in. It's just saying they lost a boat, and it's mayhem out there on the banks." And then he calls me up 2 years later and said, "Have you read the book The Perfect Storm?" And I go, "No." I did not even knowing that was the storm. And my grandmother had a copy. And so he goes, "Well, open it up to the front page." And I go, "Oh, October 1993 or whenever it was, 92. I can't remember the exact year." I go, "Was that the storm?" So when people say, "Do you know about the Perfect Storm?" I go, "Oh yeah, I know a little bit about Perfect Storm."
No, pretty well.
Are you worried about weather on your trip? I mean, the Southern Ocean stuff is the real thing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I am. Somebody who's really analytical, that's down in Leamington, he's at the yacht club there. He sent in after 2018, when they had 5 dismastings, I think. There's some carnage because they left in June. I think they got in too early to the Southern Ocean. So they had some really bad weather. And so there was an incident report that was I think Robin Knox Johnson helped write it, and a lot of interviews. And I read that. It's 7 or 8 pages of going, oh, man.
Our friend Susie Goodall was in
got
dismasted and lost.
She doesn't really like to talk about that, does she?
Not
she was pitchpoled, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
So it's interesting because it's inconclusive to me reading this report. Do you trail warps or do you go with speed like Bernard Matissier said to do? And Tapio, I think, is about going for speed. I'm coming prepared to tow warps in case.
Yeah, I mean, the general consensus. I never had to do this in anger, but the general consensus is Jordan Series drogue is the best.
Is it
survival technique? But that's what Susie had, and it got ripped off the back of the boat.
Yeah, did it come in? I think it came in and then snapped back, and it probably
I
broke
don't
the
remember
bowline.
specifically what happened, but yeah, hers failed her, and that was the end of that.
I think they do make a similar drogue. There's somebody in Leamington, so I don't know what to get.
We carry a Jordan Series drogue on Eastbjorn.
Have you ever deployed it?
No, never.
Okay.
A friend of ours did on an Ericsson 35, but they did it less out of survival, more out of just
to see.
Just rest. It was heavy weather, but it wasn't survival heavy weather. They were just chilling out, and they said it worked phenomenally well.
Did you see what like Mark Sinclair, Captain Coconut?
Yeah, I met him in the Marquesas last year, actually. Yeah.
Did you do a podcast with him?
Yeah, I on his boat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I did listen to that.
Yeah.
He trails one of his anchor roads with 15 feet of chain or something and a tire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can do that.
There's not enough. Like you don't know because you don't test it. You don't know would he been fine without that or something different. It's just a one of one. There's not enough.
Yeah, I have 3 options
to do it.
So I don't. This Jordan Series drogue is expensive, But when you come down to safety, is it? So
It's
maybe
not
I
that
should have
expensive.
one.
I would. I mean, if I were you, I would
Yeah.
have the thing. I mean, that's what we had one on Arcturus coming across the Atlantic. We never had to use it, but. And then on they say too, the bigger the boat, the less likelihood of that. So like we don't carry anything on Falcon because also Falcon just surfs super easily.
And you can probably dodge some of the low pressures as well. But
Well, yeah. So I mean, I have a long-term plan of maybe doing a Cape Horn passage or doing a Southern Ocean circumnavigation on Falcon, not nonstop, but
Ocean Globe race, man.
Well, we were signed up.
I know
for
you
it,
were, weren't you? Yeah.
but we might do it on our own instead of doing it in 4 legs. Do it in 7 legs.
Yeah.
And make it more of a cruise and do it on our own schedule.
That honestly, I mean, Don McIntyre.
I love Don.
I love Don too, but what a ball ache it is getting to the start of his races. And I imagine the Ocean Globe isn't too dissimilar with the Notice of Race.
Well, Falcon wouldn't qualify, but he's like, you could do it. We could figure out a way for you to do it, but you probably wouldn't qualify because the boat's too modern. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But
But then, so back to Southern Ocean.
Yeah.
My boat, luckily we got into the boat show last September in the Southampton boat show. So 10 days. And some of the maiden crew came on board.
Oh, yeah.
And I was chatting. I was just, wow, I need to talk to you. Tell me about the Southern Ocean. One of the foredeck said, yep, 37 knots rounding Cape Horn. What do you mean 37 knots? That was the most we saw. So, you have to be prepared for everything, don't you? But then I guess there's always light headwinds or whatever.
What two-part question. What inspired you to the Golden Globe race specifically, and what inspires you in general?
The inspiration for the Golden Globe is it's something I can do on my own terms, because I've already told you a little bit about always working on boats for other people, and this is probably the only thing I can afford to do where there's exposure to get some help with some sponsors. And I was thinking, well, maybe the Global Solo Challenge. Mm-hmm. And I'm going on with how many boats I've also got a Baltic 42 I rescued from Jamaica 3 years ago that's sitting in Florida. So I was going to do something crazy with that boat. I can't go.
That would have been a pretty cool boat to do something with.
That's a cool boat, but I would have to refit the whole thing. The Global Solo Challenge, other than Cole Brower made it quite famous, but you start at different times depending on your rating. Mm-hmm. So there's no camaraderie, right?
That's a good point. It's a cool concept being a pursuit race, but
yeah, but
I get that. I never thought about that.
There's not the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I want camaraderie, even though it's a solo race. I feel already like these skippers are our family. We have our WhatsApp group. We're in, there's probably 20 messages now on my phone from just people chatting and asking questions and cheering somebody on that's already, Mara's out sailing. There's 3-4 skippers out sailing right now. We're all already a family. So I think that's why the Golden Globe is attractive to me, because you're alone, and I know the solitude is going to be, probably the hardest part of the whole race. But I feel like you're not alone because you have so many people that love the race and tune into the YB tracker. And I don't know if you know this, it's just come out that 6 of us have Starlink transmit only for live video.
I heard that Mara had finally convinced. I think I heard it came from her, because
I bet it did.
She's done the live stream back and forth across the Atlantic on her trial sails.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know Don probably hates that, but I think that's the only way to do it, because how do you follow?
I think
race?
Don loves it. Honestly,
that's good. I'm good.
Oh, I
I'm
think
good.
I think he's worked really hard behind the scenes on this, and it seems like there's 50-50 online on people saying no, that ruins the whole essence of the race. I'm like, I don't know what.
You can't reproduce it. Like you can't. It's all a. I mean, this is my opinion, but it's all contrived anyway. You'll never be able. You'll never know what it's actually like to sail around the world in 1968. Like you just won't. You can't reproduce that. So
Skip Novak mentioned that, I think, in a book I was reading.
Yeah. So accept that and make the best of what you can. But it's a simulation basically, and like just okay. We're gonna make some exceptions because it's gonna make the thing a better event.
It will open up the fact that Don. I hope. Listen, Don's 72, I think. he needs to probably, hand this off eventually. And after 2030. And he's got such a cool thing going. Mini Globe Race, Ocean Globe Race, Golden Globe Race. What a neat little niche of races. He has have the real good ability to, I think, capture people's imagination a bit better than these races that are foiling, which is, I'm all for technology. It's great. But I think we need races where people can go, oh, I can understand that.
Yeah, more relatable.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
So
you're transmit only.
Yeah.
Can you even enforce that? How do you do that?
There's a black box that's sealed up, and everything goes through a black box.
Oh, so it's
the
like
Starlink goes into that.
It's like a firewall, basically.
Yeah. Just like our we carry a sat phone that's
Yeah.
only programmed to rest headquarters, and so only Don can call us, or we can only call Don. And if you can call somebody else, but they'll know.
Yeah.
And then you're Chichester or fined or out of the race. Yeah.
So what inspires you in general?
I just really didn't like sailboats for a little while, and I got out of this whole sailboat thing, and I went to Haiti and worked for 4 years for a marine construction company for Lafarge and things like that. So I kind of stepped away from sailing, and then I moved to the UK 10 years ago, down to the South Coast 4 years ago in Leamington, right into the epicenter of yachting. I suddenly remembered this is what I love doing. And I think I've never been happier in my life. I've never been more excited about a boat project. I'm pretty much broke, which,
Well, you own is it 3 boats, or are there more?
I've got 3 boats. So I'm trying to get rid of these boats and these other 2 boats. I bought the Baltic for $5,000 US. So, and
why?
Because it was $5,000.
But you should know better. There's no such thing as a cheap boat.
I should know better. But hopefully, when I get a little older, I'll know better.
No, but actually, why did you buy the Baltic? What did you think you were
going to do? Because I love
it?
Baltics. Come on. That's like, I
know. Listen, I know you're preaching the choir here.
Yeah.
I see boats in boat yards and think, well, shit, if I don't do something with this, nobody else is gonna.
Yeah. So, how tight-knit and the serendipity happens in the yachting world. I had inquired about this boat when it was for $40,000, just because I just read, oh, that's interesting. And then I looked closer and oh, God, no. And then they couldn't sell it. So the owner who had passed away's daughter lived in Christchurch, right near Leamington. She tracked me down as the only one interested in that boat and said, we can't even give it away.
Yeah.
And so her brother was in Jamaica and didn't sail and just wanted rid of the boat. He said $10,000. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said yes. And I got cold feet. And then he sent me a rigging report. So I found this receipt for $18,000 from last year for all new standing rigging, all this new masthead stuff, and all new standing and running rigging. And I go, wow. I said, I'll give you $5,000. And I said, he'll probably say no. And he said, yes. And I go, oh shit, I better go buy it.
So now what?
So now it's in North Florida. It's just hauled out, ready to go. It's beat to hell because it's spent 20 years doing all the Caribbean racing circuit. But I bought new sails for it. It has brand new sails.
Did you sail it there?
I sailed it up. Yeah, I sailed it out of Kingston, Jamaica to Miami, and then Miami up to where it sits now. And I said, this is going to be my adventure boat. And then I did another transatlantic with this client who loved the Golden Globe race. He says, no, you need to do the Golden Globe race. So he paid for half of my entry, which is like $7,000. And I go, shit. Now I've got to go find a Golden Globe race boat. So that's why the Baltic is sitting there. But what happened with the Baltic was somebody who had owned it for 30 years, it's a German couple. I got in touch with the wife, and she lived in Florida. And she says, oh my gosh, the person you need to talk to lives in Jersey. She was our captain for 20 years on the boat. So I call her up, and she thought I was American. And she goes, oh my gosh, you're buying Harry Hirsch. That's the name of the boat, is Harry Hirsch. And she goes, wow, where are you? And he goes, I'm in the south coast of the UK. She said, I'd love to maybe help you with the boat or something. And well, I'm in Leamington. She goes, oh, I'm in Leamington.
Wow.
So one of those things. And now I think I'm trying to give make sure she takes the boat. Not give, but this is how things go. And she has a Baltic 42 now, co-owners with somebody she's possibly not getting along with right now. She's going to try to sell the boat, split the boat, and take my Baltic 42 that she ran for 20 years in the Caribbean 25 years ago.
Wow.
One of those things.
Full
So,
circle. That's
full
very
circle.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny how those things happen. So I hope that happens. So I'll take it off my hands and I'll feel better that the boat's in good hands as I go around the world on this.
When is the start?
September 6th.
So this year.
Yeah.
So you're coming down the home stretch here. It's May 22nd as we record this.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like tomorrow. I mean, really, a year ago, it felt like tomorrow. But I feel good. So, we talked about masts earlier. So my mast I know is at Allspars in Hamble.
Hey, we use Allspars. They did the rig on Falcon, yeah.
Oh, they're good. Did you Andy Postel?
Yep.
Yep. He's great. Well, he's done all the other rigs for me. So he's been, it's great because I know those guys. I know Phil at Allspars in Swanwick. And
yeah, I think Phil worked on, I think if it's the same Phil, I think he worked on Falcons.
Yeah, he's been there for forever.
They do, because we do so many miles that we have to redo the rod every like 3 years.
Oh, is it rod rigging? Yeah, I bet. Well, aren't they? I mean, to me, that's why I use anyone else.
I'm very glad to hear that because we actually found them. Andy got in touch with me. Said he's like, hey, I see what you guys are doing. If you ever need rigging work, hit me up. And I was like, all right, well, these guys seem legit.
Yeah,
and they have been in our experience, but that's a good recommendation.
Yeah, it is. So I've done 4 masts with Selden, with Southerlies, and buying. And I think I've had a problem with every. Yeah. It's not Selden bashing here, but listen, for whatever reason,
the marine industry in general is generally not so great. So.
They delay. I had a Southerly 48 that was trying to go on a ship to a new owner in Miami. So you have a month ahead of when the ship's going to leave. Your deposit's no longer refundable. So call Selden. Are we on track for the mast? Yes, we're on track. All right. I'm pushing the button on the ship. Boom. Push the button on the ship. 2 weeks before the mast can be delivered. Sorry, we had to push here. We have a Swan something that we need to push years out of production and finish the Swan. And they don't care.
Yeah,
they just said, whatever. I said, well, the owner's out $12,000 deposit. Okay. This happened 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm at it up to here with some of the yacht suppliers.
Wow. Well,
so bring in Andy.
Yeah.
So for the last 2 masts, I was hitting my head against the wall. Andy said, I'm not doing this to make more money, but why don't you let me run? Why go directly to Selden? It's going to cost you a tiny bit more. Let me do it. I said, oh, thank you. And he's just been a godsend.
Oh, that's good
for that. Then it just, he's like family now, it seems like, because he's now doing this Golden Globe race mast.
What's keeping you up at night now as we approach the home stretch?
Keeping up. I'm doing some, I have some doctor's visits coming up. You never know, just health.
You going to have your appendix removed?
I just thought what?
I got appendicitis at sea.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that has been something I think about. What do you, Mia? What's your thoughts?
I would do it. Knowing my experience, if you're going to do a trip like that, there's no downside. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal, is it?
Surgery-wise. I mean, you were on the boat with me. You had to take over when I was incapacitated.
We'll have a ton of antibiotics, I guess.
I mean, yeah, you can't. Well, that's, yeah. I mean, you have to have that anyway, but.
What? You mean get the antibiotics into you and then hope a ship comes by?
Well, you can, I mean, not all places like treat appendicitis with surgery. You can.
Can you?
You can fix it. And actually, I had a appendicitis flare-up without realizing it until after the fact. So I got sick in Portsmouth, Virginia, running the Care 1500 rally. Exact same symptoms as I had on the boat 6 months later. And the reason I didn't go to the doctor the second time, or why I put it off, is like, well, I felt like this before, and it got better after a couple days. Well, it didn't get better that second time. We were thankfully only 100 miles offshore, headed to Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And had to call the Coast Guard, and I didn't have to get evac, but as soon as we hit the dock, I was in an ambulance and had surgery that day.
Where did you go to? Like Halifax?
To Newport.
Oh,
we were basically a beam of Block Island.
Yeah.
When we decided, I'd been symptomatic for a couple days.
Yeah.
And it was such one of those things. We were downwind, wing on wing, perfect weather, going straight to our destination fast. This is on Eastpier. This is the second year of doing 59 North.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mia basically said, you asked me, what would we do if this was one of the crew and not you? And I was like, well, we would go in.
That's a good point.
And so we went in, and like after we made that decision to turn, I declined rapidly.
Wow.
And I was in my bunk for the last 18 hours, basically begging her to get the Coast Guard to come pick me up because I was so sick.
Mia, what were you saying? Just toughen up. Come on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, I took it pretty seriously.
You said, no, they're coming. And then I'm like, where are they? Like, they're coming.
But no, it was,
they never came.
I mean, thankfully we were close to the.
Yeah. But yeah, I had having had that experience, I would at least ask somebody if that's an option.
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, my girlfriend's a nurse, so I'm sure she would have an opinion on that too. Yeah, so
interesting. So what else keeps you up at night?
Yeah, well, health is the number one thing. Making sure I can get to the start. So I'm going to just really start working on the diet a bit and getting out and exercising.
Get back on that track bike.
Get back on the track bike. Yeah, exactly.
Is the boat more or less ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. There's the endless list, but I could go offshore now and feel good. Are you
going to do a big shakedown with all this new stuff?
Yeah, I am because
you've already done the qualifier, right?
I've done 4,000 miles, but you have to do 2,000 because I've done the 4,000 miles in the last 2 years. I'm still obligated to do 2,000 miles because you have to do 2,000 miles 18 months before the start. So
okay.
I miss that. And besides, doing 2,000 miles just only makes sense. So I'll pop out. I think what I'll do is there's a going away party in Leamington, June 19th, at the yacht club there. I think I'll pop down the coast and go to Plymouth. Hopefully thrash the boat a bit on the sea trials. Go to Plymouth, see if there's any last little tweaks to do with Andy Postel.
Yep.
And then leave from there and just whatever route, loop-de-doo out to get 2,000 miles and come back to Sable d'Olonne with plenty of time, I hope. I really want to just be there mid-July going, okay.
Waiting for the start.
I'm sure stuff will break and I'll have stuff to do there. There'll be plenty. It'll give me a month before the prologue. Yeah.
How do you provision?
Right now, there's some good photos I just put up on Facebook yesterday. I have 100. Well, they say 100 days of expedition food. I don't know if you ever used the expedition freeze dried.
I haven't. I think they use it in the race. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki may have used it in the racing stuff. Yeah, that's true. I haven't myself.
I'm not I don't know. I had a week's worth that I tried over the winter. Good stuff. And but as everyone says, you can't do 8 months or so on that. So I have at 4,000 calories a day, which is way over probably what I need. I mean, on maybe the toughest, coldest day, Southern Ocean, I'll burn 4,000 calories. Don't know. So I think I have 120 days of freeze dried. The rest is going to be good French canned food. The French stuff is really good. Rice and pastas and things. So again, I didn't do this properly leaving Trinidad for 32 days crossing the Atlantic solo. I just said peas and carrots, and canned tuna, and that was it. I lost a lot of weight. So I lost in pounds. It was 30 pounds crossing the Atlantic. Now, granted, I was a little chunky.
You went nonstop from Trinidad to England?
Yeah, I did a 8-hour stop to go get some stove fuel in St. Martin. So technically it was from St. Martin.
Okay,
yeah.
So what? How many days was that?
29 days from St. Martin.
Okay, cool.
So, and the plus side was I was single coming back from that transatlantic, footloose and fancy free. Went on Bumble, I was looking good because I lost so much weight. So that was the only plus side to losing all that weight.
Have you said at the beginning of this, you're a little competitive. Have you sized up the other competitors? Do you have do you know who do you think's the people to beat?
Yeah, I do look, I go down the whole list and I look at, I'm like, okay, well, don't know about them. Yeah, they're in it just for the adventure to get around. But you never know, do you? Because you look at like Damien Galou, who is PRB. He's did the 2022 and got as far as Cape Town, and his wind vane went. I don't know what happened, but apparently talking to Will at Hydrovane.
Will and Sarah, we know that.
Yeah.
Is that where you have a Hydrovane?
Yeah, I've got two. I've got the Scanmar auto helm that came with the boat.
Yep.
So my boat's set up with that because it worked flawlessly. It's been around the world already. Huge rudder sitting off the transom. and it tracks so well. I think because that huge rudder on there. Like any transom-mounted wind vane, it's vulnerable. And Don, I don't think would allow it. It's not an approved wind vane. So I had the funding. So I've offset a hydrovane off to the side, which I haven't even tried yet. Sea trialed it. I'll sea trial it. Probably pack most of it away, and just use my Scanmar auto helm on there. So
cool. We had a Cape Horn wind vane on Arcturus coming across the Atlantic.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. I mean,
Is it
just
good?
the concept of a wind vane. The Cape Horn was, I like, because all of the other ones, they look like freaking oil rigs hanging off the back of the boat. The Cape Horn is very sleek and integrated.
Is it?
It's like a single stainless tube that goes through the transom. It's a bigger installation, but man, it's nice looking and very robust. The guy that invented it, Yves Jallinas, French-Canadian guy, he invented it for himself to go solo nonstop around the world, and then started producing these.
Servo pendulum.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's awesome.
I'm new to the wind vane thing. So
I have one I have a new one in the shed for Spica. Because Yves is now in his late 80s, and like when we bought our first boat a few years ago, our first Spica, I said, well, I want to, just in case we sail this long distance, I want to get a Cape Horn before they stop making them. So I have one, and it's sitting down in the shed, just still in the box.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, yeah. You need.
But the whole concept of a wind vane self-steering is so cool. I mean, you don't see it that much anymore on modern boats, but boy,
oh my God, what a great thing. And
Yeah.
but yeah, going back to like competitors, and I don't know. You look at Simon Kerwin, what a great sailor, and he had that boat going so fast, but didn't have the spare parts for the wind vane. And I thought, God, what a way to not win the race. He would have won that race by far, I would think. But I do look at, I think you need to be tenacious. So I look at, I think I can say this, Erden Aruk, he doesn't have a ton of experience as far as compared to some people, but he's gone around the world solo. He's done solo powered, human powered solo circumnavigation, land and sea rowing and whatnot. So you have people like that who are just
sailing's going to be easy compared to that.
He's a tenacious guy, and I think you need that, And Mara, I know she's been on the podcast. She's great. She's Scandinavian. She's tough. She
she's
doesn't
a
have
former athlete as well.
Well,
so she's got that
big
mindset.
Yeah, she's
as
tall
well.
and strong, and I think probably like you, Mia. I don't know you very well, but I think you Scandinavian. The women they're strong-headed and tenacious, and they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it.
That's very accurate of me, I would say, for sure.
So
nothing's a big deal, no drama, just do it.
Yeah. So my girlfriend and I make fun just a little bit because Mara's great. She's very she's got a great social media presence, and she's always out there. And she came to the Southampton Boat Show. And sailors, I don't think my girlfriend realizes this. Sailors, if you've never met them, you'll give your house to them, right? Oh, I'm not around, but just stay in my house. So Mara said, I can't find there's no hotels, and the ones that are there are really expensive. And I said, it's a bit of a train ride, but stay at my house in Leamington. Really? Yeah, of course. And so I said to Jen, I'm staying at yours for the few days because Mara's staying at my house. Mara? What? So how could you have the competition staying in your house? I said, we're family, and so she stayed. So it's just a funny running joke. I have 4 pillows in my bed, and when Jen's over, we'd go, I smell the pillow. No, I need that pillow. That's Mara's.
That's cute. What are you most looking forward to?
Oh, just getting out there,
Getting across the start line.
I haven't really sailed a lot this, past year. I haven't done I did a few, the Rourke races last year, but I just want to get out there. And I look forward also to, I know it's going to be mayhem from what I've seen in Sable d'Olonne, but I got a little feel for being there because we had the skippers meeting in November. It just seems like a really cool town. I don't know if you've been there.
I've not. We've sailed in there. So actually...
You're going, aren't you?
Well, Eastbjorn's going to be there to see you off at the start this year.
August will be there.
Not sure if it's August or one of the other skippers.
Oh, that'll be great. So
the boat will be there with our crew on it, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully maybe they can be on the Vendée Globe Pier there, the pontoon.
I think I think they're going to sail with you guys at the start,
and
then
good.
As you head off south, they're going to head off back to Norway.
Well, we'll have them on board.
They'll be around at the start, yeah,
great,
for sure.
But I look forward to that, even though I know it's going to be a bit of mayhem. But I kind of love the hubbub and getting to know everyone in the mayhem that's dawn. You know.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. Well, any last words, Gunnar, before I let you go here?
Oh, I just have to say, what a nice little fun thing that I happen to be in Stockholm and come out to such a wonderful town and your lovely house and have a great lunch and meet you guys in person finally, because it's such a great podcast and your whole fleet of boats is so cool. And just, I mean, really, it should have been the podcast with Mia talking about French Polynesia and Micronesia,
exactly.
so that should be the next one. I wish I could sit here and interview Mia about that, because you guys do such epic adventures, and love to.
It's pretty
catch
wild.
up
We've
again.
done, so we have a little counter. We track all the trips we've done, and we have a little counter on the website. We have, since we started 59 North, our boats have sailed 171,000 miles.
I saw that on
counting.
your website.
It's pretty wild.
It's so
Crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, because I've heard the feedback from a few people that have been on board that I've sailed with, who I know Denise Watley. She was
she was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, she's doing another trip with us.
Oh, is she?
I think
oh,
so.
Great.
Yeah,
because she it's funny because she gave Patrick, her husband, a bunch of, I've sailed more miles offshore than you have.
Nice.
Until we did the transatlantic. But she woke up one morning after maybe having a few glasses of wine going, I'm going to go sign up for this offshore trip, and went, boom, signed up.
Awesome.
And woke up in the morning and went, oh, God. But, I think a little apprehensive. And then when she got into the Azores, Patrick, husband, met her there and just said, wow, what a trip. And it is.
Cool.
I think, I imagine the way your boats are run, it's not that rigid. It's a cool way for people to get into how it should be offshore, without being too rigid of a.
Totally. That's
thing.
exactly how we run it. So cool. Well, thanks. I'm glad you made the effort to come out here. It's so much nicer to do these in person. And yeah, I'm going to go take a nap now.
Yes.
Good luck in the race.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Yeah,
Mia.
well, this won't be the last time you'll be on. We'll have to get you on. If you've got Starling, maybe we do. I don't know if you're allowed to do media from the boat, but that would be pretty cool.
If you're associated with a school, we can. But yeah. Oh no, we might be able to do a call in. Yeah. Talk to Don.
I'll talk to Don. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll twist his arm. He knows
Great.
me. He owes me. He still has my OGR entry fee.
Oh, I bet he does.
He
It's
sure
gone into
does.
his boat, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks, Gunnar.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks again to Schooner Woodwind and BVI Yacht Sales for sponsoring this episode of the show. Buy your tickets at schoonerwoodwind.com and buy or sell your dream boat at bviyachtsales.com. On the Wind is the podcast about sailing, created by 59 North and hosted by me, Andy Schell, and August Sandberg. The show is mixed and produced by me and August in Sweden and Norway, respectively. The intro theme music is composed and performed by former podcast guest, sailor, and musician Cameron Dale, while the outro music you're hearing now is, of course, by our friends, the Stormweather Shanty Choir from Bergen, Norway. We love hearing from our fans, so send your questions and comments to holdfast@59-north.com, and please do us a favor and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to join us on the Quarterdeck as well to nerd out about seamanship. That's quarterdeck.59-north.com. Until next time, hold fast.
Could be. And when me money was all gone on liquor and the horse, I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. As I was walking down the street, I met sweet Angeline. She said, come home with me, me lad, and we'll have a cracking time. But when I awoke, it was no joke. I found I was all alone. My silver watch and my money too, and my whole bloody gear was gone. Was gone, was gone. My whole bloody gear was gone. It was when I awoke, it was no joke, for my whole bloody gear was gone. As I was walking down the street, I met Big Rapper Brown. I asked him if he would take me in, and he looked at me with a frown. He said,
last time you was paid up with me, you took up no score. But I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more.
once more, once more, to go to sea once more. I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more. Sometimes we're catching whales, me lads, but mostly we get none. With a 20-foot oar in every paw from 5 o'clock in the morn. And when daylight's gone and the night's coming on, we rest upon our oars. And oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Ashore, ashore, or snug with the girls ashore. Oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Come all you seafaring lads that listen to me song. When you go a big boating, boys, make sure you do not go wrong. You take my tip when you come off a trip, don't go with any horse, but get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more.